So as we step into our next keynote, we move into a reality where AI is no longer optional, skills are evolving rapidly, and business and talent leaders are expected to deliver both efficiency and experience. So the next keynote will explore exactly this intersection, how AI could be your next colleague. Joining us as our next keynote speaker is Prasanna Krishnamurthy, Managing Partner, Upekkha. Prasanna has spent over 2 decades of working closely with founders and product leaders, currently leading Upekkha and earlier with Microsoft Accelerator and iSpirit, helping B2B SaaS startups scale with structure and clarity. I welcome Prasanna to share his insights, and I'm also super excited from a personal level as Hyreo is also part of the Upekkha startup family. So over to you, Prasanna.
Thank you. Continuing on the same theme, this morning I was in a group of entrepreneurs, some of them running mid-sized companies, some of them running slightly larger companies, say 1,000 people, 2,000 people, that kind of a thing. And one of the founders, there was a bet. And so one of the founders was very gung-ho on AI, and the other founder was like, no, AI is not going to make that much of a change in your day-to-day kind of a business life. And so the bet was that in 2025, could they reduce their workforce by 25% and increase their revenue by 25%. So this was the bet, right? And I won't tell you what the was, but let's say it would be pretty embarrassing for one of them, right? So this was the bet for 2025, and they just settled it. So they actually cut their workforce by 25% and they increased their revenue by 25% in 2025. So if you had told somebody that AI will help people do that, say 2 years ago, or even this year in January, if I go out and tell maybe some of your companies that, hey, you can cut your workforce by 25%, increase your revenue by 25% with AI, you'd probably laugh at me, right? But this is reality. This is where we are right now, right? And so a lot of the conversation about AI has been about co-pilot and things like that. It's not going to be that anymore. It's going to be that AI is going to be your next colleague. And so are you prepared for that? And as HRs, are you prepared? I mean, many of you folks have been, or your colleagues would have been in a situation where you're handling disputes between an AI and a human, or a human and a human in the past. But are you prepared for resolving disputes between AI and human this year or next year or whenever that's going to happen? Let's see. Okay. The color is very weird. I apologize for that. I don't know what's happening. This is a benchmark called METR, and what they're trying to do is pick a set of tasks and use AI to run these tasks. And when they are running these tasks, they're trying to see how long the AI can run without needing human intervention, without making mistakes. And in let's say 2022, an AI could run for about a minute before it made its first mistake. And of course, once it makes a mistake, then it compounds. So you cannot run an AI by itself for about a minute, right? And in 2024, that increased to 15 minutes. So a 1 minute task is, 1.5 minute task is kind of like counting words in a passage. You give it a passage and say, count the number of words. It can count for 1 minute and then it'll flunk out. A 15-minute task, it kind of like find a fact on a website. So you have to figure out what website, maybe browse multiple websites, collate it together and give an answer. That takes about 15 minutes. And as of 2024, AI could do that with about a 50% failure rate. Come to 2026, and last month is when they said this, AI can run for 4 hours without needing human intervention and complete more than 50% of the tasks successfully. Which means that any task that most humans would take 2 hours to do can be done by an AI today with a near 100% success rate with better quality than humans, right? Now imagine how many of us actually do tasks for more than 5 minutes at a time, right? We'll be reaching out for our phone or talking to somebody or doing something, right? How many of our tasks are actually 2 hours of solid work? Very few, right? Now imagine that AI can do all of those tasks. And these are not simple tasks. One of the tasks that they're doing is ML task where they're training an image generation model. So this is not something that is a beginner task. This is an expert level task. So it can do 4 hours of an expert level task. It can do 4 hours of an expert level task without human supervision this year. Okay? And this was announced last week. The newest Claude model, in 24 hours, it found 500 high severity bugs in open source code where people have already spent millions of dollars trying to find those bugs. And these were bugs that have not been found in decades. Okay, so humans have not been able to find these bugs. This is not, again, something that a fresher can do. This is 24 hours. The estimate of the amount of human work that would have been required is in the 10 to 20 to 30 million dollars. And it was done for about $20,000 of tokens. And this is work that humans have not been able to do at all, right? Despite decades of trying. And it was completely autonomous. They just put in the code, they just put in the AI figured out how to find these bugs. Security researchers generally of this quality who can find these bugs would cost about $200,000 a year, if you can get them. And it would basically be like few years of work for a few dozen of them. This is really cool. There is a US startup which has a completely automated lab. So they have actual machines which can do lab work to do chemistry. And there is now, OpenAI has automated that lab, and they have done 36,000 experiments fully autonomously in 6 months to get a 40% cost reduction in a particular chemical, which is a very, very high volume chemical. So this work took 6 months with AI. If a single human would only be able to run about 100 experiments a month, max. Right? So imagine how many people would be required to run 36,000 experiments, and whether you could even hire them, train them, get everything to run, and run this many experiments in a 6-month period, and get a solution which is 40% cheaper than what was state of the art. Okay? Again, this is not beginner level stuff. This is stuff that experts would find hard to do. Let's switch. Yeah. And this one is just completely crazy, right? OpenAI released, readable? Okay. Sorry, skipped a task. Yeah, so this is a very interesting benchmark. So this took a set of experts from across the industry. They work at Goldman Sachs, they work at Morgan Stanley, they work at all the top companies in the world. They took them and said, give us tasks which would take you at least 5 hours to do. So each task would be like producing a document or producing a report or analysis, stuff like that, stuff that knowledge workers would do. And the tasks had to take at least 5 hours for an expert human to be able to do. And they collected about 2,000 tasks like this. And 4 months ago in October, the month is wrong, October 2025, 48% of the tasks, the AI's report or output was considered better than a human output. Okay, that was 4 months ago. And this month, 60% of the output that AI has produced for tasks that would take experts 7 hours is better from the AI. So by the end of 26 or mid 27, this is covering some 80% of the world knowledge work economy and stuff like that. 80% of the tasks which take 7 hours to do, AI will be able to do better than any expert human at that task can do. Okay, and you can see how it's going, right? This is just 4 months. 4 months ago it was 480 the score. It's 1606 now. This is the latest model that's released last month. And this is just crazy. The newest model has been used to build itself, and it has improved them. So the Open AI folks spend $1 million per developer a year. They hire developers who are absolutely the best in the world, and they're paying them $1 million. And AI is now helping them be better at their jobs and saving them time and making them more efficient. So if you're thinking about any kind of entry-level coders or mid-level coders, like, they're not anywhere in the game. AI is replacing million-dollar coders. Right? So we're not in the game of saying, will AI replace entry-level people anymore? We are in the space of, will AI replace the world's best experts at very, very difficult tasks? So what is AI doing in production today? Customer support is the number one use case, where there are actual firms which have let go of 40-50% of their customer support workforce and shifted to AI. There are folks who a year ago said, hey, 100% we are going to shift to AI. Those folks have not done well. The folks who have done well have said, okay, let's incrementally figure out what AI can do better than humans, what is better for the customers from a speed and availability perspective, and they've just been shaving stuff off, and they found that 60-70% of the calls that come can be taken by AI. And those they do with AI, and the rest 30-40% they do with humans, and that's actually they've let go of 40-50% of their customer support workforce. Financial analysis, it's really doing well. I just saw a bot which is doing some financial analysis and trading, and it's actually gone from $100 to $4,000 in about a week of trading. So if you thought a lot of human traders cause a lot of noise, there are going to be a lot more AI traders coming into the market as well. And from a candidate screening perspective, AI is obviously already doing a lot of work, and Hyreo will be talking about a lot of that as well. So how many folks here use AI every day? Some ChatGPT. Okay, how many folks don't use AI? Okay, how many hours do you use AI? How many people use at least half an hour? Okay, 1 hour? Okay, more than 1 hour? 2 hours? Anybody 4 hours? No, okay. Okay, developers are there at the back. Right? How many of you have used Claude Code, the command line tool? Developers are not allowed in this. Okay, so how many of you use Claude Cowork? What they launched 2-3 weeks back, right? So Claude Cowork and GPT Codex, the latest things that they've launched, you can give it a set of files. You can just say, figure out, for example, you can just give it your bank statements and say, hey, tell me how much I spent on different things, give me a financial analysis, give me a plan for next year. It'll actually read all the files, no matter what the format. Some can be Excel, some can be CSV, some can be PDF. And it'll give you a website where you can actually interactively look at your financials, and it'll just do this with one prompt. Right? This was basically impossible a month ago or 2 months ago. And it's just doing that, just like that, out of the box, right? You would have to pay somebody 5,000, in the Indian context, 5,000 to 10,000 to 20,000 to do that for you, and they would do a very, very shitty job. You would not be able to ask any more questions, and they probably make a lot of mistakes. Right? So it's like way past all of that stuff. Right? So the future is already here. 60% of the knowledge work GDP tasks, which take 7 hours to do for an expert, are being done by AI better than human today. AI can run tasks for 4 hours without errors, without human input. 4 hours continuously, just keeps doing and improving and running tasks like that. And already people are figuring out in scientific world, R&D, core R&D, people have figured out how to do 40% cost reduction in specific things with a fully automated setup end to end. Right? So the question is, if your next colleague is an AI, how are you folks as HR people prepared to deal with it? Are you prepared to deal with it? We've only thought about hiring humans, measuring humans, working with humans. But if the next colleague is an AI, then what do you do, right? And more importantly, what if your next boss is an AI? Right? Because today in the same group, when we were discussing this, one of the questions that came is, hey, 25% you've cut, is that all you're going to do, does that mean you're going to be flat next year? And his answer was, actually, we could have cut 50 people more. And the reason we didn't do it is middle management is not adopting AI fast enough. The people at the employees, many of them have adopted AI for their tasks, and they're ready to get faster because it benefits them. But middle managers are worried about whether they will have scope and control and things like that, and they are not adopting fast enough. So the next thing that he might have to do is actually let go of some middle managers, flatten the org, increase the number of people reporting to each manager, or even he had a diagram where he was replacing the entire middle management with AI so that the leaders have a much larger span of control. So what happens when your boss is an AI? Are we prepared for that kind of a world where we are reporting to an AI to figure out what tasks we should do next? Thank you.